The sixth teaching, the man of discipline. Lord Krishna speaks. One who does what must be done without concern for the fruits is a man of renunciation and discipline, not one who shuns ritual fire and rites. Know that discipline, Arjuna, is what men call renunciation. No man is disciplined without renouncing willful intent. Action is the means for a sage who seeks to mature in discipline. Tranquility is the means for one who is mature in discipline. He is said to be mature in discipline when he has renounced all intention and is detached from sense objects and action. He should elevate himself by the self, not degrade himself, for the self is its own friend and its own worst foe. The self is the friend of a man who masters himself through the self. But for a man without self-mastery, the self is like an enemy at war. The higher self of a tranquil man whose self is mastered is perfectly poised in cold or heat, joy or suffering, honor or contempt. Self-contented in knowledge and judgment, his senses subdued on the summit of existence, impartial to clay, stone, or gold, the man of discipline is disciplined. He is set apart by his disinterest towards comrades, allies, enemies, neutrals, nonpartisans, foes, friends, good and even evil men. A man of discipline should always discipline himself, remain in seclusion, isolated, his thoughts and self well controlled without possessions or hope. He should fix for himself a firm seat in a pure place, neither too high nor too low, covered in cloth, deerskin, or grass. He should focus his mind and restrain the activity of his thought and senses. Sitting on that seat, he should practice discipline for the purification of the self. He should keep his body, head, and neck aligned, immobile, steady. He should gaze at the tip of his nose and not let his glance wander. The self tranquil, his fear dispelled, firm in his vow of celibacy, his mind restrained, let him sit with discipline, his thought fixed on me, intent on me. Disciplining himself, his mind controlled, a man of discipline finds peace, the pure calm that exists in me. Gluttons have no discipline, nor the man who starves himself, nor he who sleeps excessively or suffers wakefulness. When a man disciplines his diet and diversions, his physical actions, his sleeping and waking, discipline destroys his sorrow. When his controlled thought rests within the self alone, without craving objects or desire, he is said to be disciplined. He does not waver like a lamp sheltered from the wind, is the simile recalled for a man of discipline, restrained in thought and practicing self-discipline. When his thought ceases, checked by the exercise of discipline, he is content within the self, seeing the self through himself. Absolute joy beyond the senses can only be grasped by understanding. When one knows it, he abides there and never wanders from this reality. Obtaining it, he thinks, there is no greater gain. Abiding there, he is unmoved even by deep suffering. Since he knows that discipline means unbinding the bonds of suffering, he should practice discipline resolutely, without despair dulling his reason. He should entirely relinquish desires aroused by willful intent. He should entirely control his senses with his mind. He should gradually become tranquil, firmly controlling his understanding, focusing his mind on the self. He should think nothing. Wherever his faltering mind unsteadily wanders, he should restrain it and bring it under self-control. When his mind is tranquil, perfect joy comes to the man of discipline. His passion is calmed. He is without sin, being one with infinite spirit. Constantly disciplining himself, free from sin, the man of discipline easily achieves perfect joy and harmony with the infinite spirit. Arming himself with discipline, seeing everything with an equal eye, he sees the self in all creatures and all creatures in the self. He who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me will not be lost to me, and I will not be lost to him. I exist in all creatures, so the disciplined man devoted to me grasps the oneness of life. Wherever he is in me. When he sees identity in everything, whether joy or suffering, through analogy with the self, he is deemed a man of pure discipline. Arjuna speaks. You define this discipline by equanimity, Krishna, but in my faltering condition I see no ground for it. Krishna, the mind is faltering, violent, strong, and stubborn. I find it as difficult to hold as the wind. Lord Krishna speaks. Without doubt, the mind is unsteady and hard to hold, but practice and dispassion can restrain it, Arjuna. In my view, discipline eludes the unrestrained self. But if he strives to master himself, a man has the means to reach it. Arjuna speaks. When a man has faith but no ascetic will, and his mind deviates from discipline before its perfection is achieved, what way is there for him, Krishna? Doomed by his double failure, is he not like a cloud split apart, unsettled, deluded on the path of the infinite spirit? Krishna, only you can dispel this doubt of mine completely. There is no one but you to dispel this doubt. Lord Krishna speaks. Arjuna, he does not suffer doom in this world or the next. Any man who acts with honor cannot get the wrong way, my dear friend. Fallen in discipline, he reaches worlds made by his virtue, wherein he dwells for endless years until he is reborn in a house of upright and noble men. Or he is born in a family of disciplined men, the kind of birth in the world that is very hard to win. There he regains a depth of understanding from his former life and strives further to perfection, Arjuna. Carried by the force of his previous practice, a man who seeks to learn discipline passes beyond sacred lore that expresses the infinite spirit in words. The man of discipline, striving with effort, purified of his sins, perfected through many births, finds a higher way. He is deemed superior to men of penance, men of knowledge, and men of action. Be a man of discipline, Arjuna. Of all men of discipline, the faithful man devoted to me, with his inner self deep in mine, I deem most disciplined.